Day two, it's 9 o'clock. My other half's just come back from the shops and she's bought me these to put all my nuts and bolts in, keep things in a nice order. So I should put those on the side and keep organised. Clean pair of jeans that aren't covered in antifreeze. Still see where the offending item dropped out. So next thing is to start undoing some of these pipes and bits and pieces, cables, and preparing for getting that engine undone. So here we go. Just for future reference, fuel pump. So the left hand outlet goes to the left hand carb, and conveniently the right hand outlet goes to the right hand carb, and then the bottom end outlet obviously goes off to the tank. Okay, that's all the electrics disconnected. We've been methodical and we've labelled both ends and marked where the cables have been disconnected. I don't expect it to be entirely the same with a new engine, because I say the electrics work slightly differently, but essentially most of those cables should be in use. The only couple that I've got to disconnect now to get the engine free are these two wires that come round to the manifold for the exhaust gas temperature senders. Two of those. Got a couple of spark plugs, get suppressor caps to take off. That was straightforward. And I've also got, I've taken the throttles off, throttle cables, just labelled those up just in case. Got to take these choke cables out. So choke cables, EGT temperature sensors, and the pull start, and I think that is it. I can then start unbolting it and get ready to lift it off. So time for a brew and a little bit of looking at it time. See how far we've got. We've got this exhaust off. Needs a little bit of tarting up, but it's all structurally sound. If you shake it, there's a few rattly sounds in there, so there's some stuff I can probably get out as far as carbon's concerned. We'll clean that up and give it another coat of heat resistant paint. It's all very straightforward. Good news is though, it is structurally all good. So up to this stage, the silencer's off. Just got to take the manifold off, loosen off these bolts, so that won't take me very long. And then we've got these cables here that go into the silver box at the back, which I believe is where all the ignition goes on. Not sure what's in there, but we'll have a look. So I'm going to see if I can unbolt that from the bulkhead there, and that'll come away with the engine. And then we're just onto the engine mounts, I believe. So first things first, let's get this manifold on. It's a little bit of detail I'm going to record here just to share it with everybody, but also for myself when I do the rebuild. I've got to buy myself a lock wiring tool, and when I come to lock wire these springs back on, you notice that each spring is actually lock wired on in a very specific way. The idea of that being is, if the spring comes away from the exhaust, basically anything on that engine that comes loose will go through the prop, which is never good. So things are lock wired to the engine to prevent them coming detached. Now the reason why a spring may come off is because it's snapped, because they do tend to fret as they rub on the exhaust. I think part of the reason this silicone along here is to try and keep those two parts in as a whole, so that you would notice it on your pre-flight inspection before you went up the next time. But also the lock wire, the way it's been put on, if you notice the fact that as part of lock wiring through this spring, the ends have also been trapped. So if I get close up there, what you can see is it's doubled over as a piece of lock wire anyway, but it's then wound round, trapping this part of the spring to this side of the exhaust. It then goes through, and as the lock wire tool is twisted, it's allowed to take a coil inside, so it doesn't restrict the operation of the spring. There's a bit of flex in this overall length. I don't know if you can see that between the coils, but it's not one straight tight piece of lock wire. It's got this twist in it, and then it comes back through again, and then it's wound round, and this end is also lock wired to this side. So even if it did snap, even if this piece of silicone gave way, the two ends of that piece of spring would actually still be retained to these mounts on the exhaust. And hopefully now I've captured that, I can have a bit of a practice when I'm reassembling it with my new lock wire tool and use the same sort of method. So I've got the engine unbolted, just waiting for my helper to come and give me a lift just to get it on the bench. Whilst I'm waiting though, I thought I'd just have a look at the fuel pump that I've taken off just. I've been watching some of the videos on YouTube lately where they're showing examples of where people have had engine failures, and there's quite a good one where, I say good one, but it's a good example, where a Flexwing pilot who's just climbing out from the airstrip has an engine failure. It's not very high up at all. It's not a great situation at all because he hasn't got a lot of height to be able to recover. Manages to get it down, but the Flexwing's a little bit bent, but he's okay. But the reason for it was his fuel pipe had perished. So it's a good example as to why to get them changed. And here's my helper. Like with all this stuff, preparation is key. So once we'd had a good look around it and decided on the best way to grab hold of the engine, it was a case of just wiggling it off the unbolted mounts. Luckily, because it's an aircraft engine, it's not that heavy. Super.
Little engine.
It is a little engine, yeah. Great stuff. So now I can get it all this, clean this off. I think the tanks will come off next. And we can start to tidy up this area. Ready to accept the new engine. And then I'll start working my way forward. Brilliant. So this engine is going to go up for sale. I'm going to get all these engine mounts off that I would need to retain. Get some advice as to whether these rubber mounts need changing. But I've got to save all these aluminium bits. So that means I'm going to strip a few bits off of here to go on the new 582. I'm hoping my 582 comes with new carbs as well. So it's mainly just mounts and bits and pieces that I'll be retaining off of this, and then this engine can be sold.